Hi, welcome to Paying for College. I'm Reyna Gobel, and today we're going to talk about all the ways that you can pay for college and some of the myths that people have about paying for college. Whether you're a junior or a senior, my number one priority today is to answer your questions. A little bit about me: I'm the author of CliffsNotes Graduation Debt. I also write for U.S. News on paying for college topics, especially 529s. And I wrote an audiobook on paying for college as well, How Smart Students Pay for College. It's the audiobook. So let's begin. Okay, so bear with me just a moment through a technical difficulty. Okay, so we're having a slight problem with the slides, but that's okay because I know this presentation backwards and forwards and every way in between. So I'm going to start. Okay, so our producer today is going to be kind enough to move them. And one moment. Okay, so you should see slide 2, or the second slide. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about things that are both on and off the slide. My favorite thing about paying for college is that oftentimes you think that you just have to apply to the cheapest schools, but that's so not the case. The amount you pay is totally based on what grants are available on that university basis. And so you don't really know until you get your financial aid award letter and that you use the net price calculators. Here we go. So now it's advanced, so yay. So we're going to talk about the FAFSA forecaster and applying for financial aid, starting your scholarship and career planning now, refining your college search process, student loans, and AP credit. So when you have a chance to chime in, if you're a junior, please let me know. I'll answer your questions, and we'll gear this towards you because I'm here to answer the questions you guys have. So as I said, like the first myth that I always like to talk about is the fact that you don't have to go to the cheapest school by any means. How the net price calculators work that help you estimate what you could pay is you go onto a university website, just Google in net price calculator into their search box, and when you enter that, it will tell you what a number based on your family's income, what your potential financial aid could be. And the exciting part is often we think that the only way that you're going to get financial aid is if you make under a certain amount, and that's not the case. There are schools that a family can make $200,000 and still qualify for some financial aid. So Don't eliminate a school until you've checked out the information yourself. And also contact the financial aid department, because what I've learned is sometimes you can negotiate that amount. I wrote a wonderful article for mom.me on just about that, how you can call the school and maybe get a little more financial aid. It could be that there's a department scholarship you didn't know about. It could be anything, but you want to make sure that you have all the information before you apply and afterwards. And the other great thing as far as previewing financial aid is the FAFSA Forecaster, which allows you to fill out the form before you're ready. So your junior year, your sophomore year, or even if you're practicing. So you won't know what financial aid you're eligible to receive until you fill out the free application is absolutely not true. So we're going to move on now to talking about a question that I get a lot, which comes to textbooks. It's one of my favorite things when it comes to saving money is if you're spending, you think it's estimated you'll spend $400 to $500 a semester on textbooks. Well, I managed to do that in 4 semesters by reselling my books on Amazon, by carefully asking the professors what books on the list will actually be used. So there is lots that you can figure out on your own. So one of my other favorite tips, especially if you are even a senior, if you're a senior in high school right now and you are looking at different schools, a lot of times we pick a school because it has a great basketball team, or our friends went there, or our parents went there, or even it has a major that we like. But you can love a school in a brochure. You can even love a school on a college visit if you're looking at the student union and maybe not the buildings that you're going to actually be in. College visits are very important. They can start off online. College Week Live has some great resources for that. And give me just a moment. I have a question from Carrie. Hi, Carrie. And it's a really good question, too. Do you think buying an iPad and buying the digital books will save money? That is a great question. The problem with digital books is you can't resell them. So if you have an option of one versus the other, then the paper textbook will more likely save you money. But don't just stop at comparing what the college bookstore tells you the price is. Make sure you look on Amazon too. Make sure you look on eBay. But make sure you have the right edition. And do know, is there something digital that the professor wants you to see? That's why it's very important that you look at the option, because a book can be the same edition and have more add-ons, software in the digital edition. So you just really want to be careful on that. Now, the only other thing I would suggest when it comes to an iPad, can you view the books on your personal computer if you have a laptop? You don't necessarily need an iPad, but you can use a laptop to view the digital books too. So great question from Carrie. Okay, and so we're going to continue. And I really think that's important to talk to your school counselor as early as possible. They will help you with a scholarship search based on your individual qualifications and also help you look for career-related job experience now. And why that's important is the ultimate goal of college is that you get a great job afterwards that hopefully you enjoy. So if you can do a shadow day, what a shadow day is you call up a place that you would like to work eventually in the future, or just a place that happens to have people working in a profession you like, video game designers, marketing, whatever it is that you think your passion might be. And you can do 5 of these and say, hey, can I spend a couple hours with a professional, seeing what they do, and then ask a few questions so I can see if it's something I'd like to do in the future. So that is one of my favorite things. Your school counselor can help you with how to arrange that. And one thing, too, that I like to talk about when it comes to the school counselors is, number one, when it comes to careers. They can help guide you towards what schools can really train you for what you want. Um, a school is more than just if they have that major. What kind of internship programs do they have? What kind of work co-op programs do they have? A work co-op program is where you may work part-time or may work one semester and then go to school the next. And it not only helps you pay for school, but it also helps you with gaining work experience actually related to your field, different than working in the campus cafeteria. You're really going to learn, unless you're planning on going into food service, but you're going to really learn what you need to know in order to get a job after school. Now, I want to remind you guys again, I'm here for your questions, so ask away. One question I do get a lot is on commuting and school. So let's say that you are planning on staying at home for college. One thing with expenses is, do you need a car? Is there good public transportation? Generally, it is not covered by your student loans if you are purchasing a car. However, maintenance costs and gas prices, all these things could be covered and you could use your student loans for. So we're also going to talk about some of the other things that I find really important when it comes to paying for school, which is, oh, give me just a moment because I have a question coming in for Jessica. Hi, Jessica. Is it worth living on campus if it adds $9,000 to your tuition? Well, this is a great question, Jessica. Since we're just talking about commuting, add up what it would cost you not to live on campus. If you're planning on getting an apartment, what are the rates? How much would it cost you with a roommate? You can find out what it would cost you with a roommate by talking to the off-campus housing department. If it is with your parents, then of course you wouldn't have room and board costs, or at least room costs, but you would have transportation costs. How much is that going to cost you? So you really want to look at all factors. And then if you are living at home, then make sure you're saving money, that you're not spending extra on going out because you're at home. Make sure that it's really part of a tool to help you budget better. So great question, Jessica. And this goes back to this myth, if you're on a budget, you should only apply to schools with the lowest tuition prices. Once you get your list down to 5 to 10 schools and you apply and you've looked at the net price calculators, compare what they're actually offering you. Look at the financial aid packages. See which school is really going to be the best deal. And it really has nothing to do with tuition prices. The example that I love using is if you're buying a car, or if your parents are buying a car and you see the sticker price. Well, you never expect to pay the sticker price. You expect to negotiate. And when you fill out your FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, it's your first step in negotiating. And a little bit more about the FAFSA, because a lot of times people think it's the fast track to student loans. Not the case at all. Basically, what the FAFSA does is it gives the school information on you, on what your fiscal situation is, what your financial situation is. And it may not have to do with Pell Grants that are for lower income individuals. You may qualify for a scholarship by that school or a university grant that has different income standards. So you want to make sure that you give the school as much information as possible. There's also state grants, such as the 529 grants in Maine, that all you have to do is fill out that FAFSA. So get information in there. You really want to make sure that you have all the options possible to get as much money as possible for school. Now, one thing too that I would recommend to Jessica and other students out there that are considering living at home, negotiate with your parents. You can take AP classes and do other things that save them money. Then maybe you can afford to live on campus and not have to stay at moms and dads. So we will move on. And there's also state grants, just as a side note here, that you might qualify for as well. So that's another reason to fill out the FAFSA. So one thing that I really want to talk about when it comes to student loan borrowing is that, and then we'll answer Monique's question in just a moment, but when it comes to student loan borrowing, really make sure that you are borrowing based on your prospective career, because if you are not, one thing that I've seen is with lawyers, if you wanted to be a public defender, but you went to a private law school that cost $150,000, it's going to be really hard to pay that back on a public defender's salary. So you just want to be really careful. Think about what you want to do after school. Do you want to be a teacher? What is it that you want to do, and how much is it really going to cost you? So let's get to Monique's question. Hi, Monique. I've been told that receiving a lot of scholarships could lower how much financial aid you receive. This is actually a really good question, and you'll be happy with the answer, Monique. Would it be beneficial to apply to a lot of small scholarships if it could hinder how much financial aid you receive? Well, here's the thing about that, Monique, is financial aid comes in the form of student loans, money you have to repay. It comes in the forms of grants, money you may not have to repay. But whatever money you receive, including scholarships, should not go over and beyond the cost of attendance. So yes, there is a possibility scholarships could deplete your financial aid. However, it's not going to deplete it below the cost of attendance. So it's not, yes, it may hurt you getting a student loan, but wouldn't you rather free money? I would. So, and this is a chart of the monthly salaries that I always love to use when it comes to student loans, which is a great segue from Monique's question, because we all want free money for college, right? So if she had to do this in a student loan payment, this is a $200 student loan payment versus salary. It's for about $20,000 in student loan debt. And you can see where this stacks up. Generally, you don't want your student loan debt above 10 to 15% of your salary. So really think about that when you're determining your career choice. But also, maybe you can compare other schools, because you don't want to have to decide your career based on money. You may be able to go to a great state school or a great liberal arts college that happens to offer a lot of scholarships. There are some that are offering amazing scholarships, and you just have to narrow down your choices based on career, pick a variety of schools, and see who offers you the best deal, in addition to being a school you actually want to go to based on class size and all that fun stuff. And it looks like I have another question from Carrie. So Carrie has a couple of questions for me. And the first one she wants to know is specifically on going to Purdue and majoring in engineering. But I'm going to answer this in a little bit of a general way so that it helps the other kids too. So the website says about $20,000 a year. How do I go about paying for that besides looking for scholarships? Is it smart to take out loans for all of that? Well, Carrie, taking out loans is not a bad thing. However, you really want to look at what you're going to be making after school. The Career Services Center at Purdue will have statistics for you on what recent graduates make. Just make sure it's for ones that have what your qualifications would be. Entry level, probably an internship or two. So you really want to look at that. And then second, you may get grants. Check out Purdue's net price calculator, but if you know that's where you want to go, I would call their financial aid department, see what engineering scholarships there are, and then involve your high school counselor. Tell them, I want to go to Purdue. What scholarship should I apply for? These are my grades. These are my characteristics. And your characteristics could be that you have red hair. There are scholarships for people with red hair. It could be that you're short. It could be anything. It could be a special talent that you have. So make sure that you look at all attributes and all ways to get that scholarship money. And then I have one more question from Carrie, and then we'll get to Tatiana's question. So Carrie wants to know a little bit more about student loans and when you start paying them off. This is a really good question, and I think it's one that all of you should know about if you're planning on borrowing student loans. Student loans work in a way that you borrow. There's normally a bit of a fee for when you take them out that is paid later. They're generally deferred, although you can pay interest while you're in school on both private and federal. Federal loans always have a fixed interest rate. Private loans, now some of them do. So you can compare, but federal loans generally have more options. You should borrow those first, in my opinion, in most cases, although if you're doing a short-term, like 6-month program, it's fine to borrow private loans. The reason is because there is temporary payment breaks available if you can't pay your loans at some point. So that's why I always prefer federal over private. But you're accruing interest, and as you can see, with a payment over $200 for $20,000, you really want to be careful about how much you borrow, but it really should be based on what your income is after school. And the least you can borrow, the better. And let's answer Tajana's question, who wants to know, and hi, Tajana, hopefully I pronounced your name right. Are private loans better than the government loans given through FAFSA? The only time they're better is if they have a lower interest rate and you are planning on paying them back within a set time period, like say 5 years, because there's income-based loan repayment for federal loans. There are all sorts of different ways to pay federal loans if you happen to get in trouble at some point or if your finances aren't as good. There are temporary reprieves for private loans, but they're just not as guaranteed. So thank you so much for that question. Now Jessica wants to know, and hi Jessica, she would like to go to a school out of state. She's living in Indiana, and she's worried that an out-of-state school will be overwhelming. And she thinks money is not a good reason to go to school, is not the reason not to go to a school that she's really interested in. I agree. I don't think money should be the big thing, but you should ask yourself a few questions. First of all, why do you want to go to that out-of-state school? Is it because of a great program that's going to help you get a job, which will help convince your mom and dad that there's a reason to go to that out-of-state school? So you really want to look at what are the career options if you go to that school. Make sure you know the reasons why you want to go to that school, but also consider other schools. I think you should always do your college search in a list of 5 to 10. Never just say, I want to go to this school and this school only. What if you don't get in? What if they don't offer you any financial aid at all? And then if you know you want to go to that school, be diligent. Talk to them. Talk to the financial aid department. Talk to the department that houses your prospective major. Do all the things possible so that you have the best options to go to that school and the best argument to your parents why you need to go out of state and you need to go to that specific school. And that's a really good question, and feel free to ask me more questions if you need more clarification, because that is one that comes up a lot. So thank you, Jessica. And any of you, feel free to chime in with questions. That's what I'm here for. And I've got another 30 minutes here to answer whatever you have. Then you can answer me on Twitter if there's anything left. So we have a few more questions. And the first one comes from Diana. Hi, Diana. Would a minimum wage part-time job really help with paying for college if it affects your performance? Love this question. First of all, Diana, the first thing that you can do, and the most important thing you can do when it comes to keeping your expenses down, is a good, healthy budget. Talk to the Student Money Management Office. Talk to your parents. Make sure you know how much you're really going to spend. When it comes, I always recommend before you get a part-time job that you look at how many hours that you really need in school. What is the time frame that you're going to have to spend on classes? may be better to borrow a little bit more, not work, although I always recommend internships. So I would say that the first thing that you need to do is find out what school is really going to cost. Spend as much time as possible on scholarships and get a game plan together. If you're going to borrow some for student loans because your courses are going to take that much time, then do it. Although I think you should contact professors of your first semester before you take on any job and find out how much time each class requires. Plus, then they know who you are and they'll be good contacts for you later. And thank you so much for your question, Diana. And on to Alania's question. If I take out a loan, would I be able to pay a little bit while still in college instead of all after? Sure, you can pay money whenever you like. They'll never turn down a payment. And Jen wants to know, hi Jen, what is the family income level cutoff for federal student loans? There isn't one. The cutoff is for subsidized loans. So if you want the government to pay your interest in school, then that number is not a straight number of income. It's based on how many kids your parents have, all sorts of things. You can fill out the FAFSA or the FAFSA forecaster, and it will give you a good idea what you're eligible for. So thank you so much. And let me see, I think you had some more questions here. If our family income excludes us, it won't exclude you, so that's easy enough. Is it possible that a student cannot borrow enough to attend college? No, because you can also borrow parent loans, but try not to borrow try to borrow as little as possible. But yes, you can borrow loans. The parent loans are federal loans too, and that goes up to the cost of attendance as long as your parents meet minimal credit standards. And this goes well into Carlos's question, who wants to know about credit. So hi, Carlos. Thank your mom for helping you and thinking about loans. And she used to have perfect credit, but one of her nephews took out a loan for college and still hasn't paid it back. This will not affect you for federal loans. It might affect you for private loans, but that's where you want to call a loan company that you're interested in. They can run your mom's credit and see. Maybe you have a dad or an uncle or someone else that can co-sign as well. But borrow federal loans. You don't have to worry about perfect credit for a subsidized or unsubsidized student loan. And then Jessica has another question. Oh, this is so great. Hi, Jessica. Guess what? I went to UNT. I know that I finished school there for my undergraduate and then went there for both of my masters. So good school, highly recommended. And it says that you know that UNT offers to waive out-of-state tuition if you are applicable and ranked well in your high school class. Do you know if this is common among state schools? You know, every school is different, so you really want to ask any school that you're interested in what the rules are, what scholarships are available. Heavy research for those 5 to 10 schools that you narrow down that you decided are the ones that you're going to focus on. And then another question from Jessica. And would it be, and hi Jessica, got to say hello again. Would it be a smart idea to attend your dream school that is a $40,000 tuition if you're paying for school by yourself? Well, we just talked about net price versus what you actually pay and these sticker prices. Don't just say this is the tuition price. Look at all the options. And if you're paying for school by yourself, if it's because your parents are unemployed, you can fill out a special circumstances form. If you are truly independent and qualify as an independent student, you can fill out special forms for that too. That can also get you additional financial aid. So great question, Jessica. And for the students that asked me about student loans, I have a course on udemy.com on how to repay federal student loans that would be advisable for you to take. For anyone that has attended the session today, they can log on and use a special promotion code, College Week, and they'll get the course for free. So that's College Week, and you'll get how to repay federal student loans for free, so you can learn a little bit more about federal student loans. And any additional questions you have when we're done with the session, you can ask me via Twitter. And that's at Reyna Gobel. Okay, and Lennon, I don't know specifics on the University of Florida, but as said before, and I totally agree with, you should be talking to, if there's a school that you know that you undeniably want to go to or just made your list of your top 5 to 10, you should be contacting them and finding out all scholarships. And make sure you contact Career Services because they'll be able to help you with jobs. And Christopher has a question for me. Hi, Christopher. At what point do you talk to the financial aid office? Oh, I love your question. Thank you so much, Chris. People are going to appreciate that you asked. At what point do you talk to a financial aid office? Before applying or after applying to that college? Both. You want to know what you're getting into. Would you, if you decided to go out on a date with someone, would you wait to talk to them for the first time until you actually see them? No, you want to talk on the phone. You want to do something. You want to meet. You want to find out why you like that school. College visits, looking on College Week Live at some of the virtual tours. Get as much information as possible. Don't wait until after you've applied because there may be other schools that you'd rather be on your top list based on the information you receive. And I'll tell you a quick story that applies to especially the UNT person. I called 3 schools when I decided to go back to school. And I asked them a simple question. I said, why should I pick your school? And then I asked 2 more simple questions. What internship programs do you offer? And where are your graduates now? And UNT told me about their Pulitzer Prize winners. They said you should attend our school because of who we have as teachers, as professors. And we have interns at the Dallas Morning News. We have interns at this magazine and this magazine. You are going to do well by going to our school. Well, I called 2 other state schools that shall remain nameless. And one of them told me, you pick whichever school is cheapest and closest. So basically they said, we aren't special, don't pick us. So you can gain a lot by just asking a couple of simple questions. So make sure you do that. And please don't wait till after you apply to call the financial aid office. Find out what they're offering you. They want you as much as you want them. So let's look for the next question. And thanks again, Christopher. I love that question. And David, and I'll get to your question again in a second, Jessica, because that one's also important. Hi, David. Does it matter going to a low tuition college or high tuition university? Well, that can be answered 2 ways. Does it matter in terms of money? That's something that the higher tuition school, if they offer you scholarships or grants, could actually be a cheaper school for you. So in money, no. When it comes to getting a job, that's where you want to talk to Career Services. Where are they placing interns? What are they doing? I don't think it's low tuition or high tuition. I went to state schools, and I'm here talking to you. And my book is about to have a 2nd edition. So I don't think it matters state school, low tuition, high tuition. A high tuition school may not help you get a job just as easily as a low tuition school might. But you're going to do your due diligence. I want to promise in fact, you can ask me in the questions. I want to see promises from you guys that you are not going to just apply for schools based on tuition prices before you know what they're actually going to offer you. And that I want to see promises that you are going to actually find out about what kind of career placement options they have. Because that's what going to college is all about. So let's make sure you have that. I want you guys to have all the opportunities possible. And Jessica wants my Twitter name again. It's at Reyna Gobel. So @ Reyna Gobel. You can also get all sorts of great resource information on my website, graduationdebt.org. And it has links to all my courses, etc. So do feel free to look at those resources. And Jen wants to know about the code again in the website for you guys to be able to use College Week, and it's going to be College Week without a space for the promo code, to be able to take my video course for free. And it is Udemy, udemy.com. So udemy.com. The course is How to Repay Federal Student Loans. You can ask me any questions within the course itself or at Reyna Gobel. And my next question is from Alanya. And hi, Alanya. So if I had a part-time job, had to get $5,000 in loans a year for college, but paid a little off with a job, would I be able to go on to vet school and get even more loans, maybe $15,000 a year, and pay them off? Say you make $50,000 as a vet. Well, this is where you really want to talk to the school, because it depends on where you're living. You may want to save some of that money that you're making from part-time jobs in a savings account and earn interest, but it wouldn't. Your vet loans may be at a higher price than your undergraduate loans, so it may be better to borrow the undergraduate loans and then save that money for vet school. But I would suggest you start talking to the vet school already. Find out what the costs are now. Find out what you need to do to get in. And then really budget while you're in school. And I want to start seeing promises from you guys that you are going to really focus on your careers for me, do some shadow days, and make sure that you pick the right school. And Christopher, hi Christopher, wants to know, and he said thanks. So thank you, Christopher, for saying thanks. Can my parents call the financial aid office, or do they want to speak to me as a student? Well, I think if you use, when it comes to speakerphone, then I would suggest that you make an appointment. Because if you're just calling in, it's nice to know ahead of time. And they should make an appointment with you. If they don't, then it's not a school that you want to choose. And say, I would like my parent. If it's a local school, you can go down there with them. On college visits, I recommend a financial aid visit. But also, I think that it would be a good idea for you as a student to call to make that initial appointment, because you really have to be involved, and you got to show your parents that you're really interested in these schools so that they get behind you. And my next question is from Gabriella. Oh, I love that name. What a pretty name. Hi, Gabriella. Not that the rest of you don't have pretty names, but so does Gabriella. So what are the pros and cons to applying for a work-study program? Love this question. The pros and cons. The pros, I've written an article on this. I love work-study. I think you've got to make sure that it's something that you really want to do. Do shadow days beforehand so that you know that you really want to commit to that occupation. If you do, it can get you great connections. It's just a wonderful thing. If you don't want to commit to that occupation, then it may not be the best thing for you. So do what you can now to make sure that it's what you really want. And then we have a question from Janice. And first, yay, David. David says, I promised to pick the right school. But hey, David, remember, you're supposed to promise to do your shadow days and really do this focus. So make sure that I see some focus here from you guys. And I want to hear about it. When you succeed and you get into those schools, tweet me. And I'll retweet it, so because I'm proud of you. So Janet, and hi Janet, what was that website to reach you again? Well, to reach me, it's at Reyna Gobel. So that's the best way if you want to contact me, because any questions you have, I can answer for everyone. Graduationdebt.org is my website. You can find great resources on that page, and links to my audiobook and the first chapter free of my book that's about to come out in a second edition pretty soon. So there are lots of great resources on that page. The student loan course website is udemy.com, udemy.com, and it's how to repay federal student loans. And for you guys, I'm giving you a code so you can take it for free. So it's College Week. And then let me know how you like it, both either in a review or tweeting me, or you can ask me questions anytime at Reyna Gobel. And so anyone else have any questions? If not, I'm going to wrap this up in 5 minutes. So this is kind of your warning sign to ask questions. One thing is, when this is the beginning of the school year, and at that time, whether you are taking this as a freshman, and if you're taking this as a freshman, sophomore or junior in my webinar today, then that is terrific, because you're way ahead of the game. If you're a senior, really think about your college visits as you would as a junior. If you're in college right now, think about what scholarships you want to apply for next year as a sophomore and as a junior. And something for everyone to be aware of, your school counselors will help you forever as an alumni. So you can always go back to them and say, hey, you know, I'm a sophomore, I'm a junior, I want to apply to vet school now. Can you help me figure out where to apply for scholarships? So be nice to your high school counselors, because they can be a lifetime resource. And I have a question from Austin. And Austin wants to know the top 3 scholarship search sites. Yeah, I mean, you can plug in your characteristics for sure. That's one of the things he wants. Scholarships.com is a great one. A warning that I give anyone, if they are getting a scholarship email that they did not solicit, you want to be really careful with that. Do not give out bank account information, social security information. Verify that it's a legitimate scholarship with a trusted adult, such as your high school counselor. And then Janet wants to know if I'd recommend attending a community college for the first year, or attend the college that has your career in, since they are the first year is the same all over. Depends. If you have work study, what if you get scholarships so that the 4-year college is actually cheaper than a community college? Apply for lots of places. If you're thinking about doing a community college, do that. But really look at all the advantages. And yes, you can transfer after a year or 2. It's a great way to save money, but only if you didn't get scholarships that could cover the 4-year. So just make sure that you know why you're doing what you do. There's no solid answer that works for everybody. And in short, don't just pick an in-state school because of a sticker price. None of you pick a school because of the sticker price. Pick a school because what they're offering you in career potential, what they're offering you in just the experience, but most of all, that it's at a price you can afford, and you're going to enjoy being there, the class size and everything, but you're also going to get a job out of it. So really think about that, and do what I did. Ask a couple of questions. You wouldn't pick a life partner on paper, so don't pick a school on paper. So I want to thank all of you for your time today. We have 2 more minutes if I don't have any more questions. Otherwise, I'll keep going for another 15, but that's up to you guys. So if you have more questions for me, then please send them along. I'm happy to answer any questions in the future on Twitter at Reyna Gobel. I have a question from Veronica. And hi, Veronica. What is the best way to use any extra money you get from student loans or grants? I am so glad that I stayed on for this question. It is so good. If you don't need the money, you can do one of 2 things. And by don't need, it's for the exact budget you calculated that is just excess. If this is excess, then I suggest you do one of 2 things. You put it in a savings account so that maybe you don't have to borrow in the future, or it's always good to have an emergency fund. That could be your first emergency fund as an over 18 adult person. So I think that that's good. If you get overage every semester, then you may want to borrow less student loans. But you don't want to make that adjustment until after your first year when you have your bearings and you know what your budget really is. Because it's a lot different to think about your budget before you arrive on campus than it is when you're actually sitting there. That's why another thing I recommend on any college visit is that you do speak with a student and talk about how they budget. So you will want to see what it does cost to go out, what it does cost for a suit when you can't borrow your mom's outfit or your dad's outfit. There are so many things that you don't think about beforehand. Call student government if you can't visit the school and just ask for the student affairs person or off-campus housing and have them give you the information on what the budget really is. And it looks like I have another question from Jessica. Oh, and she said I helped her a lot, which is wonderful. And she's first generation. By the way, a lot of schools, a great thing to mention, have special programs, including free tutoring for first generation college students. So if that's you, make sure you ask the schools you're interested in. And Jessica, anytime you have questions, since you're first generation, or even if you're not, always tweet me. I'm happy to help. That's what I'm here for. And that's what I love doing. And you can get a lot of extra advice too in my audiobook, which I believe right now on Audio Go, it's on special, the second edition, for $2.99. So it's a great scholarship resource, and it's pretty cheap right now. So for $2 or $2.99, it's a great resource. And let me see what other questions you had, Jessica. You probably already answered this, but could you list again good sites that you know of? Scholarships.com is my favorite. And I think it's a lot of people's favorite. And do you have a limit to how much you would recommend someone having to borrow for student loans? The limit is really based on your career choice. I can't tell you what's worth it to you. I think of you all as very capable people, and you'll figure it out. But every semester, think about any changes you have made to your career. It is okay to transfer schools. If after your freshman or sophomore year, you're not getting as many scholarships, or you just decide, you know, I would rather go to a state school, or I'd rather go to this other school that I can get scholarships at. And don't stop applying for scholarships after your freshman or sophomore year. Get them as a senior, a junior. And a really fun thing when it comes to scholarships, one of my favorite tips is I received a scholarship, two different ones actually, really easy ones, for being one of the first people in a line. For being one of the first 75 people to apply for my MBA program and get accepted. I believe I got about $1,000. I got a $750 scholarship for being one of the first people in line to take a summer course at my school with a B+ average. So there's amazing ways to get scholarships. There's lots of money out there. Look for it every single year. And Janet, hi Janet. Is it better to go all year long to school if possible and finish in less than 1 year? Well, this is a good question, and it depends on your career experience. One of the worst things you can do is finish in 1 year at school and then not actually like the job. So make sure you're doing shadow days. Make sure you don't get burnout. If you go to school for a semester or two and you're like, I can't stand it anymore. I had that happen. I graduated a semester early from high school, went for the spring semester, the summer semester, then continued on to the fall for 3.5 years. I got so burnt out. I even had a semester where I wasn't passing my classes, and I took a 5-year break. If you take breaks and mix it up with work and do other things, and you carefully plan how much time you're spending on work, how much time you're spending on different things, and really balance your life, you'll be a whole lot happier and probably end up with less student loan debt. And then David has another question for me. Hi, David. I heard that universities give a lot of financial aid in the first year to get people to come to them, and then they have a lot. They don't give away a lot later on. Well, this is where you're looking at the 4-year price for a university. What are your scholarships? If you get some scholarships may last for 4 years, some may not. If your scholarship can renew, look at the reasons why it can renew. So this is part of your analysis, and it may determine which school you go to. However, if it's university grants, then those may be available the next year. They may not. It depends on what funding is available. So look at it on an annual basis, but I think the best thing to think about is once you know what that 4-year cost is going to be or which scholarships you're getting will help with those other years, remember you can transfer. So everybody, remember you can transfer. You are not stuck with a school forever. And Adriana, and I love how she said hi with an exclamation point. One of my editors does that, and I think it's the most amazing thing. And hi, Adriana. I'm a senior this year. What should be the main thing I focus on college week? First of all, don't slack on your grades. Those are still important. Scholarships and shadow days. It could be an afternoon a week. Whatever you need to do, start with career exploration. Because how can you pick a college and pick a major if you don't really know what you want to do? And you can't do that without at least spending some time with professionals in the field you're interested in. And so my next question is from Janet again. And Janet was telling me how helpful I've been, which I appreciate. Thank you, Janet. Thank you for attending. Thank all of you for attending, because people are going to be able to watch this later and get even more information and see what you guys are up to. So what about high school AP classes versus regular honors? How does this help? Oh boy. You want to take APs because it allows you 2 things, actually 3. And this may be what we end on depending on what other questions I have. But what's great about AP classes, if you can get college credit, it can help you skip basically your freshman year. And what I generally recommend with that is using that time, you can get a master's in a year. So in your 4 years' time, you can graduate with an undergraduate degree and a master's because you took that AP class or several AP classes. So yeah, take AP courses. Why not? It's definitely a good thing. I did, and it certainly helped me. And we have another question from Monique, and she wants me to spell out my Twitter name, and that is just fine. I'm happy to do it. It's at Reyna Gobel. @ Reyna Gobel. So at Reyna, Reyna Gobel. And I'm here for you guys anytime, so feel free to tweet me. If you end up listening to my audiobook, you can ask me questions on that as well. It has wonderful information, especially on college visits and career choice, because those are 2 of my biggest things that I like to talk about. Oh, and Jessica, I love when someone opens like this because it shows we're having a conversation and I'm not boring you guys to tears. That reminds me. So hi, Jessica, again. I've taken AP classes in high school. Can colleges not admit you because you didn't pass the exam for all of them? Oh, great question. Nah, you didn't pass, so you don't have to do anything, but I'm going to teach you a trick here so you may be able to get the college credit. Colleges care about your grades. They don't care about how many AP classes you pass. However, if you have the knowledge and just didn't pass an AP test because you're nervous, take the CLEP test in the same subject. Maybe cost you $60, $70, $80. I did that, and I studied using a website, instantcert.com. That's INSTANTCERT.com. And I paid $20 for the month and was able to take pass out of several courses. So it's pretty worth it. And so don't think that you won't get those credits. And sometimes the schools offer you tests to get out of courses too. I've seen this done a lot with foreign languages. And the next question, which, well, we'll see if it's our last. We got 6 minutes to go so that you can get on to the other presentations. And Adriana thanked me for saying your name right. Oh, you're very welcome. And how often should I apply for scholarships? Apply to as many as you feel you're qualified for. Don't shy away from small dollar scholarships. They add up. Don't shy away from big dollar scholarships. They also add up. Whether it's 1,000 or it's 10,000. If you think you have a good shot at it, apply. And the next question is, and can I write the website on the chat? And unfortunately, I can't put that on the chat, but because I can't add slides in the middle of the presentation, but I'm going to give you the website one more time. It is graduationdebt.org. That's where you can find a lot of information from me. graduation.org. That's where you can find information on my book and the audiobook and a free resources page. Lots of things. And you can also just click on there to get to my video course, which I gave you the free code for today, College No Space Week. And I have something from Janet here, and you should also see the website for my Audio Go resources page. That's also a great one. It also has things to do as far as how to talk to your parents about scholarships. So you all get on the same page. Go team. And Janet, hi again, Janet. When should I apply for scholarships, and can you do this in high school? Yeah, I mean, there's scholarships you can apply for as early as your junior year. This is something, and internships now, more you get work experience, the better. More you get relevant work experience, the better. And if you decide you want to do something different later, that's fine. But just get the work experience in. And talk to your high school counselor. They should be on your team. And the more you show them you're on your team, the more they're going to help you. And the more information you give them about who you are and your characteristics, the more they can help you find the scholarships. So thank you so much, Janet. And I am going to talk for another minute just so that if anyone else has questions that I'll be able to answer them. I want to make sure that nobody feels cheated here. Oh, Jocelyn has a question. And Jocelyn, there's a free promo code for the video course, which is College Space Week. There's not a free code for the book. And then the audiobook, which I highly recommend, is $2.99 right now on the AudioGo website. While it's still that price, that one's awesome. And it does talk a little bit about 529s. For 529s, read my articles on US News. I talk about it a lot. And there is something on there about whether it limits scholarships. It really depends. I mean, scholarships are based on financial need. Generally, 529s does not limit things a lot, but I do recommend, in fact, I'll tweet out the article where I specifically talked about 529s and the FAFSA contribution. I'll do that within 10 minutes of when we end. So thank you, Jocelyn. Very glad I stayed on for your question. I have a maximum of 3 more minutes. So I'm going to talk again for a minute so I can give you guys time to ask more questions if you have them. So what I really want to talk about in this last minute is that you have a good solid discussion with your parents. Talk about what they are able to do for you when it comes to paying for college, how much they want to contribute, and make sure on behalf of parents, although I'm not one yet, so this will be on behalf of my friends who are parents, that you definitely want to talk to them about what they really can afford, not what they would like to pay for, because a lot of parents cash in some of their retirement for you, and you want your parents to have a retirement too. So be careful with your school choices, that it is both best for you and best for your family. And there are tons of great schools that you can afford either by borrowing or straight out scholarships. Oh, Jocelyn, the promo code is College Space Week. So COLLEGE space week, WEEK. And you can always ask me by Twitter if you miss it, or rewind the presentation. It will be available for you later as well. And what if your parents aren't going to help you pay for college, but make enough to where you cannot get very much financial aid from FAFSA and other need-based sources? Not all scholarships are need-based. So apply, fill out the FAFSA. You can still get student loans. You can get unsubsidized loans. You may be able to declare yourself an independent student depending on your circumstances. Don't give up. Nobody give up. There's scholarships for everybody. And if you have other qualifications, merit-based scholarships, there's plenty of them. David's going to tweet me when he gets to college. How sweet. Thank you, David. I look forward to hearing your stories. Adriana, does applying for early decision admission get you more money? Not necessarily. Just apply for what you want and see what money comes. And just wait for those financial aid award letters and see what happens. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. I'm seeing a lot of thank yous, which I love, which is such a great way to end. So thank you, Monique, Jocelyn, Adriana, and David, and all of you that joined me today. Jessica, too. Janet, Lennon. I'm going through here and make sure I get everybody. Veronica, Austin. And if you didn't get a chance, Gabrielle, Christopher, Alana, Jen, Jessica, Lennon, and Carlos, Diana, Tatiana, Carrie. So if you didn't get a chance to ask me a question today, you can still do it anytime on Twitter. I'm here for you guys. And good luck. Enjoy your college search. I hope you have a great time and find the career of your dreams. So have a wonderful day. Enjoy. Good night.